2022 is just round the corner. Keeping this in mind, we know each and every one of you is really excited, but is also looking for the last final push and the fillip that is going to add those extra 5, 10, 15 percentile to your final CAT score. Well, because of this, BYJU'S Exam Prep brings to you the last lap to CAT 2022, starting on the 17th of October all the way till the 20th of November. Yes, 4.5 intensive, in fact almost 5 intensive weeks of preparation. What more, the focus is predominantly going to be CAT, which means, as we know, time, speed, distance and time and work in totality have almost equal weightage or sometimes even more weightage than geometry. So can we go ahead and leave geometry and just focus on these two? Can we go ahead and leave entire theta para jumbles and still score a 99.99 percentile in verbal? Yes, we can. This and much more in terms of preparation, in terms of intensive questions that we're going to look at and the smartest way of going ahead and solving that. So catch us on the BYJU'S Exam Prep app, and in case you missed that, on YouTube. But go ahead, download the BYJU'S Exam Prep app and also get a 99 percentilers kit which is going to help you ace CAT 2022. See you soon.
Hello everyone. A very good evening to all of you. I hope I'm clearly visible and audible to all of you. Need to know this before beginning. Hi Varun, good evening. Same here, good to see you too. Hi Priya, hello Guru. A very good evening. So I welcome you to this session of last lap to CAT. And yes, I understand that eliminating those too close options is a big concern for a lot of you. So let's address those concerns today, yes? Let's see if there are any tips and tricks that we can apply to actually solve this matter, to solve this problem. Yes, and what all do we need to prepare for? How do we need to prepare for in order to become better at eliminating options in RCs? That is what we are going to discuss today. Hello, hi Alka, Harika, Sachin. Good evening, Yanesh, Ritika. Hi, Shreyas. Hi, Akash. Hello, Prabhat. So, good evening to all of you. Let's begin. Okay. So, a major concern. First of all, why do I need to eliminate? We'll establish that also, that why elimination is always a better strategy than selecting the right option. It helps to ensure accuracy. Yes, it helps to ensure that you've seen all the options and now you are sure about your answer. Right. Also, through the tips and tricks that we learned today, you are definitely going to save some time in attempting your RC questions. In fact, we are going to look at different question types and learn elimination in these question types, right? So a lot to do today. Let's begin. So first of all, I am sure all of you are aware of the pattern of reading comprehension, the importance of reading comprehension in CAT by now. Yes? No, please don't be stressed. Please. It does not help you, right? See, the amount of time that you spend in getting stressed, you could better utilize it at becoming better at various concepts, isn't it? It takes the same amount of time to get stressed and to become better, to hone your skills. So please utilize your time there. Okay. Thank you, Guru. Hi, Trump. Hello. So, yes, let's begin. Now, you know this that 24 out of 34 questions in 2019 used to be RC questions. Now, I am assuming that you've seen your previous year papers. In 2020, this actually reduced to 18 out of 26 questions, right? Because of COVID and everything. So in 2021, there was a change to the paper pattern. The number of questions in VARC reduced, and accordingly, these two questions were cut from RC passages. Still, two-thirds of your VARC section is RC passages even now, right? And that's a lot. That's important. In fact, if you get 100% accuracy in your RC passages, that will ensure a 99.9 percentile, right? So, so that's, I mean, so basically, if you get a decent accuracy in RC passages, then even if you're not that great at VA, that's okay. It will help you to achieve your target percentile, your target scores that you want, right? So in 2021, 4 RCs of 4 questions each. I'm sure all of you are aware of this, and I'm also positive that many of you tried solving last year's paper. Yes, the length of these RCs was 500 to 540 words. Yes. So in how much time should I read such an RC passage? Yes. Thank you, Varun. Definitely, Piyush. That's what we are going to do today. Yes. The length of RC passages 500 to 540. So, in how much time should I be able to read such an RC passage? On an average, 2 minutes. On an average. Now, why do I say on an average? Because, see, some RCs will take you even fewer minutes. Okay, so probably just 1.5 minutes because it is from a genre that you're very comfortable with. So, in the NMAT session that happened in the morning, I told you that in my slot, I got a black hole passage, which was very similar to the one that we had given in a CAT mock. So I remembered that passage. I was by that time very well versed with the concept of black holes. So it was pretty easy for me to navigate through that passage in NMAT as well. So when we are familiar with something, when something interests us, we navigate through it quite quickly. But the opposite is also the case for things that we're not comfortable with or things that have a higher difficulty level of language. So on an average, 2 minutes for one RC passage of 500 to 540 words, right? Some will take you more, some will take you even less. Okay. No, nothing more than 3 minutes. Nothing more than 3 minutes is acceptable. Okay. So probably you're talking about solving the entire RC passage. No, I was just talking about the reading time for these 540 words. Okay. So let's check what our preparation levels are. What are some basic questions that we can ask to check whether we are prepared or not, right? Or to what extent are we prepared? Are you still scared of RC? Yes. If that is the case, that means you need to practice. See, nothing else can take away this fear except practicing a lot of RC passages. Because when you practice a lot of them, you are not afraid of encountering something unfamiliar or difficult. You've navigated those situations in the past, so this also becomes like just another day for you. So, the solution to this is practicing. This is more about strategy. If you still get stuck between two options, that means your approach to various question types. Okay, strategy or approach by whichever name you call it, your approach to question types may be faulty. This is what we'll tackle today. And yes, does this happen with you? If this happens with you, then this is a very novice and naive approach to answering an RC passage. Something that we talk against, right from the first day when we teach you RC. It's not about what you like, what you dislike, what you know, what you don't know, what your opinion is. It's not about that. An RC passage is about the author's opinion, about what the author likes or dislikes. Okay, so in case the answer to any of these questions is yes, that means you need to work really hard in the coming days. Okay. How many sets will be great? This depends completely on your target, Rajiv. In case VRC does not happen to be your strength and you are just looking for clearing the cutoffs, or in case you're targeting just about a 95 percentile, then yes, you might skip one RC passage in case your accuracy in the other RC passages is fairly good. However, in case you're targeting a 99 or plus 99 plus in VRC, then leaving an RC passage will not be a very wise decision because usually two out of those four questions will be doable if you invest some amount of time in them, right? So that's my suggestion to you. Just decide what your target percentile is and accordingly make a choice, right? So let's learn how to eliminate the wrong options. That's what we are going to do. And through this, I hope that you are able to get at least 2 to 3 questions, in fact, more than that, correct, because that will up your score to a 6 to by 6 to 9 marks. That's actually, if somebody is at an 80 percentile, that will actually make them reach a 90 percentile. Okay. So that is what our endeavor is. Now, sorry, how to read the passage correctly, how to read the passage right. Um, RC, no, Akash, this is not the right approach. If you approach an RC in such a way, then you right away, right in the beginning, you've created a psychological barrier. The chances of making an error increase, right? So don't do that. Skimming and scanning only works if some RCs are lengthy and time is so. So see, Varun, you're talking about virtually all the papers here. In some papers, the RC is lengthy, let's say an IFT, and time is a constant in the others. We're talking about virtually all the exams out there. So let's see how to read the passage, right? No matter what kind of a passage it is. Okay, lengthy, short, what exactly do I need to focus on? You read everything. Okay, I'm talking about CAT right now. I'm not talking about IFT, right? Read everything because it's 500 to 540 words, right? So, if four questions are framed from it, that means per 100 words or per 100 and something words, a question could be framed. So, read everything because the examiner has scope to make questions from various sections. Moreover, for a main idea question, it definitely helps if you've read the entire passage. And because a lot of your questions are on the inference side, reading the entire passage helps you tremendously in answering these questions. So read everything, but you need not memorize each and every piece of information. You need not understand each and every piece of information to 100% extent. You have to process only the important information. Now, students always ask this, how do we decide what is the important information? Let's say I do not read supporting data. Okay. First of all, do not read I haven't said. You have to read it. Let's say you haven't focused a lot. Now, let's talk about what is going to happen when you come to the questions. Let's say a question has been framed from it. Now, you didn't pay a lot of attention to it, but a question has been framed from this supporting data. Then you can always go back and reread this. Read this more carefully at this stage. But in the first stage, when you're reading it for the first time, you can choose to just read it, but not focus a lot on the numbers, not focus a lot on it. Right? So process the key ideas as we call them. Okay. And believe me, I am not saying that this is a foolproof formula that I'm giving you. A lot of times, a lot of your key ideas are there in the opening paragraph and the first sentence of each paragraph. Again, giving this disclaimer right in the beginning that this is not a foolproof approach, but it works for a lot of us. So please pay special attention to these. Okay. And when you do this, you will notice, see, the first sentences will form just 25% of the passage, right? It will not be the entire passage, so to say. That with these, you can answer a lot of passage based questions, like main idea questions, inference questions based on the entire passage. You can answer them just merely by assimilating these 25% that form your key ideas. Okay, now let me look at the chat box. How many easy and difficult RCs are there? So, Tom, it's not fixed as such. Last year, two of your RCs were relatively easy, and I'm saying relatively because you can't compare a CAT RC, let's say, to a SNAP RC in case SNAP asks RCs because those are very easy, right? So, relatively easy two RCs and relatively difficult two RCs, meaning that out of these two, all the four questions were doable. Out of these, two out of four questions were doable. This was the case last year, right? Okay. So what is it that I have to focus on? The main point of each paragraph a lot of times lies in the first sentence. It may not, but a lot of times it does. The main point of the passage, how do I realize it? I just string together the key ideas. Just string together the key ideas, you get the main point of the passage. General theme is like what exactly is the passage talking about? Is it about, let's say, corruption in sports today? So that could be the general theme. Now, within corruption in sports, the author could be specifically focusing on one particular sport, specifically focusing on one kind of corruption, let's say in sports equipment. So, general theme would be corruption in sports, but then the main point is more nuanced, more specific. And what is the author's stance there? Is the author positive about it? Is the author negative about it? Understanding this helps you solve a lot of questions. So I have seen that students are so focused on understanding the details कि मुझे तो ये नहीं आता है, मुझे ये आना चाहिए, मुझे कैसे समझ में नहीं आ रहा, that they forget the broad picture. Please don't forget the broad picture. What do you think? Some of the RCs that come in your exam. So do you think that I have read the entire philosophy out there, the entire Western philosophy out there? No. A lot of it is sometimes new for me also. But how do I navigate? By keeping my basics right. Okay, this is what I have to focus on. Okay, so I hope this makes sense to you. Now, Theoretically, I know it makes sense to you. We are going to apply it practically to some short asks and then to a full-fledged ask. That's what we are going to do. Okay. And this is something that I've covered with you in the 30-day CAT strategy also, but I'll repeat it here. Um, how to, think like the examiner. Yes. So what does the examiner do? Takes up an article or an excerpt from an article, then reads it, understands it, then creates questions from it. Now, one option has to be the correct option. So how does the examiner create the incorrect answer choices? How does the examiner do that? Probably state something that is there in the passage. Okay, so that the student thinks, oh, I read it. I just read it. So quote facts from parts that are irrelevant to the question. So even though it is there in the passage, it's not answering my question. So it is not relevant. It may be close. It may be located close to the information that actually answers the question. That's when the student gets really confused. Because it's located close also, because it's there in the passage also, the student tends to mark. Don't be that student. Okay? See if your option is addressing the question or not. That's the first check that you need to apply. Adding extreme words, a very common strategy, yes. Add words like always, definitely, must, quantify like some, all, add extreme words. And if the student has not been careful while reading the passage, then the student will mark this answer. So extreme words should always ring an alarm bell. You should always cross-check such options. I'm not saying that they can't be the answer, but you always have to cross-check them. They're suspicious options. Then, if it's a specific idea-based question, I give you the main idea of the passage. So you think, oh yes, I have just read this only. The crux is this only. So fine, it is the crux, but is it answering my question? It all comes down to this only ultimately. Is it addressing my specific question? Right? And yes, sometimes the examiner can confuse you by using difficult words. These could be vocabulary words also. That's why we tell you that you need to have good vocabulary. Okay, so this particularly happened in this question in a passage, a history passage that came in CAT, which was about British colonialism, their ideology, their philosophy. Now, there was a question as to what captures the flow of words, the flow of ideas, sorry, in the passage. Now, the options distorted the words like anything and made them really complicated. Some of the words in the passage were complicated, the options distorted them further. So, in this case, you really need your interpretation skills. Okay, this is what this is what the passage meant, this is what the option means. I compare the two and I then eliminate. But yes, if you have good vocabulary, this process becomes much, much easier. Right? So I hope this slide makes sense to you. How the examiner makes an incorrect answer. When I make content, I also do this only. I add extreme words. Okay, I make narrow options, broad options. That's what I also do. Okay. Now, Divya says, what can we do if we do not understand the paraphrasing of the author, even after finding where the answer of a particular question is? Okay, you're saying that you don't understand the option in that case, right? What the option says. Um, so Divyashri, why would this happen? In case you've understood what is stated in the paragraph, in case you've understood the sentence in the paragraph, why will it happen that you do not understand the paraphrasing? The reason could be that the author has used difficult words there. That could be one of the reasons. What we just discussed. Right. When this happens for you, when you feel that the options are complicated, always unpackage them. How do you unpackage them? So let's say they are not difficult vocabulary words, but together the phrases appear to be complicated. Then unpackage each phrase. Just simplify the words for yourself, right? So if I talk about the construction of identity of women in the post-colonial uh, era, right? So now if I immediately utter these words, they'll appear complicated to you, right? Construction of identity of women in the post-colonial era. But you can always decipher this. Okay, we're talking about women's identity, the way women are perceived to be in the post-colonial. That means after the Britishers. So unpackage options for yourself like this, and you will realize that you understand the paraphrasing also. Okay, in case the author has the examiner has unnecessarily complicated, right? Hope this makes sense. Okay. Now, what does the correct choice look like? Yes. See, the correct choice will always be within the ambit of the RC passage. It will never lie outside the RC passage, right? I told you, your beliefs, your opinions, your knowledge does not matter. What matters is the author's beliefs, his opinions, his or her opinions, and the information given to you in the passage, right? So you do not have to use your GK. This is not a GK test. The correct answer will be either or both of the two. True as per the information given in the passage. You can see that, okay, this is true, this is stated, right? For direct questions, this is particularly the case. Given AI of the passage, right? Or it is closest to the passage and addressing the question, of course. That is something we established in the previous slide only, out of the given option. So it's addressing the question, it is closest to the passage out of the given option, then that is my answer. Usually the case for a lot of inference questions or further application questions, right? So these make for a correct answer choice. Okay, everybody is on board till now, everything is clear. I have stated some of these things already for you in a lot of sessions, okay, but it was dispersed over sessions, so we thought to combine this in one. The incorrect choices would be false. The passage says the opposite of passage में तो opposite ही given है, the easiest to eliminate. I love such options. Okay, partially true. You really have to read them carefully because uh, when the first part of it is true and you are reading in a hurry, you tend to mark such options. So it's either partially true, the false of the correct incorrect option, it's false, or it is simply not related. It starts talking about something else, right? So, alien, you could call it, something going beyond the paragraph, you could call it. Okay. So, such options are always incorrect. If you mark such an option, false, unrelated, partially true, this is actually lack of concentration. These are the silly errors because ये easy होती है eliminate करना. पैसेज ने अगर डायरेक्टली ऑपोजिट बोला है, इजी एलिमिनेट करना. एक पार्ट गलत है, इजी एलिमिनेट करना. रिलेटेड ही नहीं है, राइट? एलियन, very easy to eliminate. So please don't mark such options at least. Okay? All right. So I hope you've got some sense as to how incorrect options are created. So think from the perspective of the examiner, step into the examiner's shoes and walk a mile, and then probably you can think about returning those shoes, right? And this is what the correct choice looks like. So keep this in mind always. Students often think that this is a very theoretical approach, but once you apply this, you realize that there is actually real truth to this gyan. Okay. So the incorrect options, we've already discussed this, but yes, let's just specify it. They could be too broad, too generalized. Let's say my passage is talking about one particular brand of pen, and I have a question that gives an option. So it says that this one particular brand of pen is not of good quality, whereas my option says that ink pens are usually not of good quality. Generalization, yes. So such answer choices are never the answers, yes. If you do not answer the specifics of the question, see, your management entrance tests ultimately are checking your skills, that as a manager, will you be able to understand the specifics of a problem? Or are you just going to go about in circles? So if any answer choice does not address a question, the specific part of the specific question, it cannot be the answer. Right? And if it becomes too narrow, if it becomes too narrow in its focus such that it does not completely address the question, right? This usually happens for main idea questions. If it becomes too narrow, then also it's not the answer. So we need a balance. We don't have to mark something that's too narrow. We don't have to mark something that's too broad. Okay? Hanji, Hanji, we'll practice some questions. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Right. Implicit, so that focuses confuses me. Is it always an exception? Implicit, something that is implicit in a statement. Something that is implicit in a statement, that means it is suggested in that statement. It is suggested within that statement. That if that statement, if I say, for instance, that this is the best book on the topic that I've read so far. This is the best book on, let's say, lamps that I've read so far. Okay. So that means the implicit, this, what is implicit in this statement? That I have read some books on lamps, right? That's why I'm able to make a comparison. So this is what implicit means. What is suggested within the statement itself, right? Okay. Very different education world. Moreover, placement for like for which job, engineering aptitude tests are more focused on logical reasoning, data interpretation, right? So they're different. They're different, and some of the aptitude tests are fairly easy because they are checking your knowledge at the undergrad level where you may not have prepared at length for aptitude, right? So can't compare. Incomplete options, a big no-no. I'm sure none of you are going to mark them. If you do not completely answer the question, if an answer choice does not completely answer the question, then it is not the answer, right? It's not the correct answer. Extremes we've already discussed. One small little observation. In case I ask you what can be inferred from the passage, then anything that is a correct inference will also match the general tone of the passage. A correct inference will also match the general tone of the passage. It will not somehow go against the tone. So if the author is positive about an issue, somehow you can't infer anything negative about the issue from the passage if the author has been positive throughout. So your inference questions, in what can be inferred, their answers will match the general tone of the passage. So if you gauge just this much, no, is the author positive about the issue, negative about the issue, or neutral? That will help you in answering your inference questions, right? So this could be a bonus tip for you. I'm sure while you knew about the other things, this could be new for some of you. Irrelevant facts, right? It is again, these are insidious options actually. Something is there in the passage, but it's not addressing the question. So ultimately, incorrect choices are the opposite of correct choices. That's why these slides look similar to you, right? Okay. All right. So let's attempt a few short passages now. Yes, all of you are also eager. And through each short passage, we are going to approach a particular question type. Try to attempt them in as less time as possible because A, they're not very difficult, B, they are short passages, C, there's only one question after each passage. So multiple reasons why you should attempt them very quickly. Apply what I've told you. So what have I told you? Focus on the general theme, the key ideas, and a lot of times where do the key ideas exist? We can find them by reading the opening paragraph and the opening sentences of each paragraph carefully. A lot of times, not every time. Right? Let's have a look. Let's see if we can do that for this RC. Yes? So look at passage 1. This is it. Just one slide. Read it and then let's go to question number 1. I'll give you very limited time. Start. Yes. Oh. Sorry, I'm hiding some of this. Just a second. Done? Read? Can we go to the question? All right, I'm going to the question because I haven't received any response from you. Yes, so this is the question. You have to give the main findings of the study. Summarize the main findings of the study for me. Yes. Let's see who answers the fastest here. Very easy. Come on, come on. Fastest fingers first. Okay. Okay. Varun says A. Guru says A. Pragya A. Tech Bite A. Shweta A. Anushka says C. Okay. Pooja says B. All right. A lot of A's coming my way. And I understand why they're coming my way. What did I tell you? That the opening paragraph is usually important and the opening sentence of each paragraph. Here there were just two paragraphs. So let's just have a look at what was important for me. Yes, a new study has revealed that changes to ozone levels in the upper and lower atmosphere were responsible for almost a third of the warming. See, they are responsible for almost a third of the warming seen in ocean waters bordering Antarctica in the second half of the 20th century. So, the main point is not just that changes are happening to ozone levels in the upper and lower atmosphere. The main point is that they are responsible for almost a third of the warming seen in ocean waters bordering Antarctica in the second half of the 20th century. Right? Also, if you just read the opening sentence of the second paragraph, they reveal that the increased ozone in the lower atmosphere caused 60% of the overall ozone-induced warming seen in the Southern Ocean over the period studied, far more than previously thought. So what is this passage trying to do? It's trying to tell you that changes in the ozone levels in the upper and lower atmosphere, they're responsible for a lot of warming of the Southern Ocean, right? And probably the planet also, right? So uh, there are changes in the. This is a fact stated in the stated right in the beginning. But is this the summary of the main findings? No. The summary of the main findings is option C. Ozone may actually be heating our planet more than we realize because it was responsible for one third of the heating of the Southern Ocean in Antarctica, right? And 60%, this part, 60% of the overall ozone induced warming was seen in Southern Ocean over the period studied. So I hope this makes sense to you that you need to focus on the key ideas. If you do not do that, that actually works against you. It's not like something extra that I'm telling you कि ये चीज भी extra करो अब इस पे ज़्यादा focus करो अगर हम ये नहीं करते तो आंसर गलत हो जाए right? We don't want that. Okay. I hope this is crystal clear to everyone and we can proceed. Yes. Let's go to passage 2 then. Achha, this is something that I did for you, just highlighted the important parts. Anyway, let's have a look at a structure-based question now. Structure-based questions basically focus on the map of the passage. Okay, how does how does para 1 relate to para 2? Does para 2 elaborate what is stated in para 1? Does para 2 give an example? What does para 2 do? Similarly, how is it connected to 3? So this skeleton of sorts forms the basis of a structure-based question, right? So this is what you have to focus on in this passage that will come on your screens. It spans 2 slides. Once you're done with the first slide, you will tell me. Try to read quickly. Again, remember what I told you. Focus on the skeleton. Focus on the broader picture, right? Okay. Done. You know you have to answer a structure-based question later on. Something that talks to you about the flow of ideas in the passage. Yes. Second slide. Let's see what you say. Done. You have to focus on the structure, the flow of ideas. What is broadly being talked about. Okay. Good, good. Let's go to the next slide then. So, here's your question. You have to tell me which sequence of words captures the flow of ideas in the passage. And yes, here I make a comeback. Yes, tell me. Let's see who answers the fastest. Hi, Nikita. Okay, all right. Okay, Guru says Trump says A. Anushka says D. Okay, Ritika C. All right. C or A. Okay. C or A. Now see this. You could have asked me to go back also. I would have gone back. Right, in the exam, if you're not sure about something, for instance, this is microeconomics while this is macroeconomics. So if, although I should remember it because it's there in the first sentence itself. If I do not remember it, it's okay to go back, right? Instead of marking the incorrect answer. It talks about microeconomic theory. So macroeconomics, both options are eliminated. A and B can't be the answers. And when you compare C and D, we clearly see how C is more specific and more related and more comprehensive also in answering my in answering the correct flow of ideas. So economic analysis of law is what is being discussed throughout this RC passage. That's the general theme of the RC passage, discussing economic analysis of law, looking at law from an economic angle. So that has to figure in my answer, right? This just is microeconomics law. It's like I'm naming different subjects. No, we are combining the two. We are looking at law from an economic angle. Then we discussed how for a time it dominated and it still dominates this economic analysis on law. We also talk about the theory of law, which has two parts, two components, nature of law and grounds of law. So see again, I'll show you how just looking at the first sentences, economic analysis of law, right? Then some person brought this to the attention of the General Legal Academy that we can analyze law from an economic angle. We can see whether it is efficient or not. Then this created controversy, and this controversy recurred each time someone actually these economic and analysts of law applied this economic analysis to any other doctrine, okay, to any other principle, to any other field. For a time, it dominated the study of private law in the US. Arguably, it still dominates, though now, some contradictions are emerging, and other viewpoints are emerging. Then we talk about a comprehensive theory of law. How, see, now you must be thinking that this is so convenient, ma'am has underlined this sentence when this was a part of the answer. So, how do I know this? See, when I read it for the first time, no, I was focusing on the opening lines because I had to answer a structure based question. So, I was reading everything, but I was focusing more on the opening lines. So, when I came to this, I realized it says the second part of a comprehensive theory. So then I saw that okay, this sentence does not talk about the first part. So which sentence does? So I hunted for this sentence, right? So all of these together, they help you to answer the question, and the answer is C definitely. Okay, I hope this makes sense. When you're focused on the structure, please look at a broader picture. Please make a map of the passage where you focus more on the key ideas. Again, हम ideas पर ही focus कर रहे हैं इसमें. I didn't consider this because what these are just this supporting information to support my key idea, right? I will focus on that when a question comes on it. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, right? Okay, so I hope what we're doing is making sense to you and you will apply it. A lot of students learn it, listen to it, but don't apply it in the exam. Okay, because we have these set notions of how to solve an RC passage. So break that conditioning. Let's have a look at a direct or fact-based question. Most of you will be able to solve it correctly. Okay, and the passage is very, very short. Okay, so let's do this. Let's wrap this up in 30-40 seconds. Yes, this is our RC. Let's read this together. For the Indian middle class, traveling by first class or business class can be quite the luxury experience. Recently, one NRI man shared a sweet story about booking business class tickets for his parents as they traveled from India to the US, and the thread left many Desi children emotional online. Gaurav Sabnis, an associate professor living in the USA, took to Twitter to share the joy of finally being able to do this for his hard-working parents. Feeling extra grown up, Sabnis wrote. Finally able to afford a flight in which parents can stretch out and sleep, he wrote, adding how his parents still thought of it as being extravagant, but he put his foot down. Right, this is your question. That's okay, Kaushal. Attempt this question. Trump says C. Okay. Others? Easy question. Varun says C. All right. Okay, so there's a deluge of C's here. Absolutely correct. Absolutely. Why is it a luxury? See, very commonsensical question. Why is it a luxury? When does something become luxurious? As per my passage. Now, see, I'm not giving my opinion here. Finally able to afford a flight in which parents can stretch out and sleep. His parents thought of it as being extravagant when you spend a lot, but he put his foot down. So it has to clearly it is associated with the cost involved, the affordability factor. Absolutely correct. C is the answer. No, it's not about how they are comfortable. That is why it's a luxury experience. What makes it a luxury? So when we say this, no, that this is a luxury for me. This is a luxury for some. Even a meal at a decent restaurant is a luxury for some. Why? They're not able to afford it, right? So this is not addressing the question. What makes it a luxury experience is that there's a lot of money involved, and it is clearly substantiated by my last sentence. Okay, it's about affordability, extravagance. Right. Absolutely, absolutely. Pragya, I agree. Okay. So I hope this makes sense. How to answer a direct question, focus on the information, the words that are given in that part of the answer, in that part of the passage from where the question has been asked. Okay, so you had to realize this, that this part is what actually answered the question. This was just stating that it was a luxury experience. This was the whole story. Okay, what did the guy say? The guy said all these things. So this is what this is where the answer will come from. Okay, all right. Extravagant, yes. Extravagant is something that is lavish, something that involves spending a lot of money. That is extravagant. Okay. Lavish can be associated, not an exact synonym, but can be associated with ostentatious when you spend a lot of money to show off, right? Ostentatious. What have I done? I've written this twice. Ostentatious. Okay. So I hope this makes sense. We've talked about direct questions, structure-based questions, even our good old main idea question. Let's discuss an indirect or inferential question now. Yes, let's have a look. Passage 4. You have to answer an inference question from it, but again, a very easy passage. Read it quickly. Apple Inc. executives, let's read it together. Apple Inc. executives previewed its upcoming mixed reality headset to the company's board last week, indicating that development of the device has reached an advanced stage, according to people with knowledge of the matter. The company's board, made up of 8 independent directors and Apple Chief Executive Officer Tim Cook, convenes at least 4 times a year. A version of the device was demonstrated to the directors during the latest gathering, said the people, who asked not to be identified because the meeting was private. The meeting would have been kept private possibly because. Yes. What do you think based on what you've read? Yes, Kaushal, I agree with you. Let's see what you say. B, C, okay. A lot of B's coming my way, okay. But I've also got one C. So those who say B, how did you reject C? Yes, just want to know this. How did you reject C? Tell me quickly. Easy, right? See, why are we keeping it secret? What is the main motivation behind keeping it secret? Nothing has been said about how much effort they are putting into the product, right? So how can I say that? Acha, sorry, option C was just a second. This is the third option. Not leaving any stone unturned. That means making all possible efforts for a product. So I don't know how they have designed it, how much effort they've put into it. No such information is available. So how can I infer this? Okay, nothing about the product as such, its features, the effort that has gone into its making is given to me. So it cannot be the answer. B is the clear answer here, right? So does this help you a little in understanding how to approach various question types? Now, of course, there can be a lot more types of questions, right? See, this is not the end of the world. This is not all there is to RC question types. My main motive behind showing you these various question types was to tell you that you have to approach each and every question type with a specific strategy in mind, and you have to eliminate. So once you understand that, then things become easy for you. Okay. So hope this makes sense. And now we'll see a full-fledged RC passage. Again, we'll attempt it in a timed manner. Okay, because our goal is to attempt it in an environment that you would get in the exam. And we'll of course focus on elimination. So let's do that. I highlighted the part that helped you in deciding the answer. That's what I've done for every question. So these were the portions. It's such a short paragraph that you end up highlighting everything. Yeah. So if you could solve these questions in approximately 60 seconds, then yes, you are well placed. Okay. Uh, is it necessary not to keep it secret and explore? So, yeah, I didn't get you. I didn't get what you're trying to say. अरे great, confidence का glucose ही चाहिए हमें. That is what is going to help us the most. Trust me, it's the mindset that helps you a lot. Of course, it has to be backed by effort also, but mindset is half of your battle, right? Okay, so let's have a look at a cat pattern RC, interesting biology based RC. Let's see how you attempted. So this is the first slide. I am going invisible. Okay, once you read it, just let me know. Okay. Welcome, welcome. Read the slide. Done. Okay, perfect. Going to the next slide. Let me know once you finish this. Great. Done this one too? This done is for this slide only, right? Hello? Yes, tell me. Okay, perfect, perfect. So I'm going to the next slide. Yes. Again, going invisible. Done, done, done. Oh, okay, sorry. Hi, Kashish. Okay, great. So Yash has completed the RC passage. Yes, I hope all of you have read this. It tells you quite a few stories, right? So see, you could actually again you could have just rushed through these stories and it would have been fine, because the point about cell biology comes here, and how cell biology then led to other things comes later on, right? So these are just examples that how uh, modern genetics was launched by the practice of agriculture. Okay, this was inspired by that, X was inspired by Z. So these are in the beginning, they are just examples. So once you realize this, you can actually rush through this. Okay, by rushing through this I mean read but not try to memorize. Okay, all right, then let's attempt our first question. The author makes all of the following arguments in the passage except which one? Yes, thank you, Kashish, thank you. The author makes all of the following arguments except. Let's see who answers the fastest. Tell me. D, C, D. All right. So D versus C it is. Let's see. Okay. All right. B. Okay, I've got one B also, but mostly it's still D versus C. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. See this. Glass blowing made the invention of microscopes possible. Yes, this argument has been made by the author. Yes. When we talk about in the when we talk about magnifying glasses, right? Microscopes had these two lenses. So, from where did these lenses come? They relied on centuries of innovation in glass blowing that had made its way from the Arabic and Greek worlds to the workshops of Italian and Dutch glassmakers. So, this argument has clearly been made. This cannot be the answer, and nobody has marked it also. Good. Look at B. Like genetics, the invention of cell biology was entirely accidental. We just talked about extreme words, didn't we? Yes, we did talk about extreme words. This is entirely accidental. So we'll try to verify if this is true or not. Okay. So my passage says that cell biology too was instigated, was in a way provoked, okay, promoted by an unassuming practical technology. Okay, so it started with a practical technology. It was triggered by a practical technology. Highbrow science was born from lowbrow tinkering. Highbrow, intellectually arrogant. Lowbrow, somebody who's considered to be not so intellectual. So highbrow science was born from lowbrow tinkering. However, does it say that it was entirely accidental? Can we infer that? That it was entirely accidental. It was born from a simple technology, but see, basically it was a step by step process, right? Lenses, microscopes. Then when something was placed under a microscope, so we can say that okay, it was born from a practical technology, but was it entirely accidental or not? We can't really say it. So B becomes a doubtful option. You should be suspicious of it. Let's move to C and D. C says the lens for the spectacle and the magnifying glass are the same. Now see, while you may not believe this to be true, you may know that this is not true. But what did I tell you? We don't care about a student's opinions. Yes, we care about the author's opinions. So let's see what the author has said. That uh, basically, when you stretch it, this was given here, no? Stretch it and yeah, see this. If you looked carefully through a burning globe, you might see that same miniature universe magnified, right? So we are talking about what here? What are we talking about here? Yes. Stretch that burning globe into an eye-sized lens and you get the spectacle. So here we are talking about the magnifying glass. And what does it say? That stretch that burning globe, basically use magnifying glass को stretch कर दो into an eye-sized lens and you get the spectacle. So basically the lens is the same, you've just changed the dimensions, isn't it? So then why is C not true? Why have so many of you said that the author has not made this argument? Right? The author does say that magnifying glass में जो glass use होता है उसको stretch कर दो to an eye-sized glass and you'll get a spectacle. So, in that sense, the author has argued this, right? For this, we do not find sufficient proof, but we are talking about stretching the same glass to make the spectacle glass, right? So for this, we find more evidence in the passage. D says Amati may have invented the spectacle. Yes, Amati may have invented the spectacle. D, those of you who marked D, why? Tell me. What's your reason? Acha, okay, that's okay. What's your reason for marking D? Tell me. I want to know your rationale behind eliminating options. I can tell you straight away that yes, there's an Italian glassmaker, Amati. His name is given here. Okay, invented supposedly. This is directly written. But I want to understand whether you spotted this or not. Were you able to, remember this or not? That's why it's important for me to know your rationale behind saying that D to nahi given hai, because D to given hai clearly. So A and D could be eliminated very easily. A and D could be eliminated very easily. Okay, the choice was between B and C, but you guys ended up making it a choice between C and D, so I wanted to know your perspective. Right? So I hope this makes sense to you. Why B is the answer? And
Hello. Yes, now I'll be audible. Don't worry. Right. Yes, so at that time I was saying, Ankit, that yes, I also apply the same strategy only. That's why I recommend it to you. No, if I selected instead of eliminating, why would I recommend elimination to you? Yes? Okay. So let's talk about the second question, essence of the passage. Let me see who answers this the fastest and correctly. Trump, yes, your query is very legit. Let me address this. See, this is a lack of concentration. What is happening with you is a lack of concentration, and this happens when we don't read a lot. When we are not used to reading a lot, no, and we sit at a stretch to read something long. This happens that, okay, for a while our concentration enables us to make links, but after a while it wears away. So the only way to overcome this at this stage is that you solve a lot of RC passages, because when you solve a lot of RC passages, you will be reading 500 to 550 words at least at a stretch. Gradually, as you put yourself more and more in this scenario, and please force yourself to concentrate, right? Sometimes we think acha nahi ho raha hai, right? And then it never happens. So force yourself to concentrate. If let's say your attention wears away, bring it back. Keep bringing it back. And as you read more and more, you'll realize it becomes easier and easier. This is nothing but a lack of concentration. Okay, losing that link, and it happens with all of us. See, you do not need to retain 100% information. Just retain the key ideas. I think if you focus on that, no, then probably things will become much easier for you, much simpler for you, and you will be able to retain better. So focus on the key ideas and put yourself in this scenario. B versus C, okay, but primarily B. This is what I've got here. Question 2. It details the fortuitous circumstances that led to the invention of the microscope. Okay, so in the it describes how the microscope was invented. This option versus this option. Has anybody marked A? I want to see that. Okay, no, nobody is marked A. All right. It compares and contrasts the invention of genetics to that of cell biology. Do we even talk about genetics in detail? Our primary discussion about it happens in the first paragraph, isn't it? Our discussion about it happens in the first paragraph. So, of course, this cannot be the answer. Ye wala to narrow hai. This is narrow. It sends a strong message. Is that the intention of the author? Do you see a strong message, or do you see more of a number of stories being told to us? So this would require very forceful language, forceful argumentative language on the part of the author. See, now I'm using the tone of the passage to actually eliminate it, the writing style of the author. This does not seem like a very forceful argumentative passage. So ye bhi eliminated. Between A and B. It describes how the microscope was invented. It details the fortuitous, the accidental. Fortuitous are serendipitous, happy accidents. It details the accidental circumstances that led to the invention of the microscope. Was the microscope invented accidentally? And yes, tell me. It details the accidental or the fortuitous circumstances that led to the invention of the microscope. So we talk about cell biology, right? Then we say that this guy, Hans, and these two guys, Hans and Zacharias Janssen, they placed two magnifying glasses on the top and bottom of a tube and found that they could magnify an unseen world. Microscopes with two lenses would be eventually termed as compound microscopes, while those with single lenses were called simple. Both relied, see this, both relied on centuries of innovation in glass blowing that had, so this was an incremental process. We can't call it fortuitous कि सब कुछ बिल्कुल accidental ही था. No, it was years of innovation in glass blowing that actually led to. So we were trying to improve, right? So if we are trying to go towards something, that means it's a deliberate process. It's not fortuitous. So while I absolutely empathize with you for marking B, it looks like a very tempting option. It's not the correct answer here. The correct answer is A. It describes how the microscope was invented. Okay. So I hope this makes sense. I understand that it feels like B is more specific, but then the word fortuitous makes it incorrect because it's a result of years of innovation, of years of work on it. It's not like accidents होते गए और microscope बन गया. ऐसा नहीं हुआ. Oh, sorry. A is the answer. Okay. So this is where, in the exam also, when we do not focus on certain words like entirely, like fortuitous, we may go wrong. So when you narrow down to two options, compare them carefully. Compare them carefully with each other. Don't be in a hurry. I understand we have a time constraint, but if you mark every answer in a hurry, then your accuracy will go low. We don't want that. Yes. According to the passage, cell biology, like modern genetics, Shweta, my point was that microscope's invention was not an accidental invention. Okay, our passage in the second paragraph clearly states this. Just a second. That both kinds of microscopes that were invented, they relied on centuries of innovation in glass blowing that had made its way from the Arabic and Greek worlds to the workshops of Italian and Dutch glass makers, right? Now, they realized that if we place two of them together, then we'll be able to see this unseen world. They realize this like that. But this is a case of compound microscopes. How do you know that the simple microscope was also invented like this by accident? Right? So, we can't say that it details the fortuitous circumstances that led to the invention of the microscope. Okay? It basically it details how it was invented. Okay. Question 3, all right. C is what you say. Great, great. Any other option for 3? This is a very easy, direct question. My passage does not say that, okay, cell biology was discovered by accident by the Jensens. No, it says that it emerged from an unassuming practical technology. Absolutely correct. Absolutely. So we have already covered this in one question. We have already covered this point in one of the questions, and this helps us for our third question also. C is the answer here. Right? Hope this makes sense to you. Okay, perfect. So the last question for this passage, which one of the following statements, if false, could be seen as supporting the arguments of the passage? That means when it is true, it is not supporting. So this is how I simplify the question stem for myself. Because, looking at every option, then thinking what would be the opposite of it, and then thinking whether it will support or not. The better thing to do it, think of it like this. That means when it is true, it is not supporting the arguments in the passage. Now it becomes an easy question. Let's see. Very good for the third one. Let's see what you say for the fourth one. More or less direct question only. Yes, it's a critical reasoning based question. You're right. But the options are so easy. So passages in CAT are like these. They're a mixed bag. You'll find some of the questions to be slightly more tricky, some of the questions to be easier, right? We'll have a consensus, a strong consensus in some of the questions, while in some, you'll feel very confused between two close options. The idea is that you have to check whether just you are feeling confused in those two options. That means you need to become better at elimination. If everyone out there is confused, that means it's genuinely a difficult question and you should not waste time on it, right? So D, Delhi is what I've got. I've also got a couple of C's here, 3 C's. Okay. This is something that is actually supporting, because we are saying that, glass mein itna innovation, centuries of innovation in glass made the microscope possible. Microscope relied on innovations. We've just read that sentence. So C to kar raha support. Okay. D is the answer. Lowbrow tinkering does not set in motion any type of sophisticated sciences. This is the opposite of what the passage states. This is false as per the passage. See this. The passage clearly says this. Highbrow science was born from lowbrow tinkering. So lowbrow tinkering actually set in motion the evolution of this highbrow science. Sophisticated science. T Delhi is the answer. I hope this is clear to you. I hope you will keep in mind, you've noted down some of the tricks to actually eliminate options, some of the checks that you can apply to find out if an option is correct or incorrect. And when you do this in the exam, when you actually start applying them, you'll realize that the time to attempt a question gets reduced and your accuracy also goes up. So I hope this happens for you. You can actually tell me whether this has happened. Are you facing any more problems? Because we'll devote a lot of this month at 12 p.m. I meet you over the YT in YT session. So we'll devote a lot of this month to CAT sessions, right? So you can give me your feedback later on. Yes, low brow led to high brow. So all the very best. And I hope this session helped you. If it did, you can press the like button. And these are the upcoming sessions from November 4 to November 12. Right. So I'll see you again in spotting the odd one out, in getting an extra 9, attempting summary questions, all these topics. So yes, the All India Open Mock CAT is live. You should attempt it if you've not already. And don't forget to join us for a detailed analysis of CAT on November 27. See you all. Okay. 23 comprehensive program. I'm sure all of you are aware of it. You can enroll in it now, or you can suggest it to your friends. And these are our social media handles. You can follow us here. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. Thank you. See you. See you in the other sessions. Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.